Welcome to the first review video. What you're looking at right now is Formula 1 for the Sega Genesis by Domark, released in 1993. And one of the more noticeable aspects of this game, as you can see on screen, is its graphics, its use of 3D polygons, and how fast it actually runs by itself. It's pretty impressive at first glance. Well, okay, the game looks good, but how does it play? Well, the handling could be a little rough. When there's sharp turns, it will crash on poles and trees or whatever's in the side of the road. Luckily, it kind of turns for you, so it's mostly okay-ish, but that's kind of what makes me crash, at least when I play it initially, so it's not too bad. Luckily for a racing game of this era, there's a few extra modes that give this game a bit of an edge against the other racing games on the Genesis, which when you'll see start or options, pressing the options gives you more game modes, which one of them being arcade mode, which is just the score-based mode, like an arcade game, championship mode, which is a standard Formula 1 racing mode. So if you know Formula 1, it's like 7 laps or something around those lines of gameplay, which you do a qualifying race and then you do the real race after, if that's how it works from what I can tell. And the last one being training, which is for you to practice the courses in the game so you can master the roads and, you know, make sure you get first place on each one. Speaking of courses, there's at least 12 courses in the game, so you get your popular ones like Monaco. That also means it's missing a good chunk of the 1993 season, which is what this game is based on. There's also another little thing with the gameplay, and I guess it's the turbo mode. So the game, while I said the gameplay is good and all, since it runs on a 3D engine, it naturally has slowdown, especially on a console from 1988. So you have this turbo mode, which basically makes the game run faster. So when you normally play the game, you see on screen how it takes a bit of it takes a good chunk of the screen, right? So if you go to turbo mode, it takes off less of the screen, which makes the game run faster. So that's nice. And obviously, the big thing about this game, which at least back then, I guess was the big thing, it has 2 players. Now, it doesn't run well. 2 players doesn't really run well. There's a lot of frame rate issues with 2-player mode, and frankly it's not fun. But you could also go against a computer, so you could also see kind of how 2-player mode is. That's an option if you really want to do it, but I don't recommend it anyway. I think you should just stick to playing 1 player if you do buy this game. Alright, for this end segment here, before, you know, I tell you where you can buy this game or whatever, or, you know, if it's rare or not, here's the packaging for it, which I have, and I don't have it complete. I have the box and the game itself, which, you know, is pretty appealing, I say, for back then. You know, it says 1 to 2 players, tells you about the game, and, you know, officially licensed by the FIA, which is, you know, a guarantee, I guess. They actually made a sequel to this later on. I think it was the year after, and I think that's the one I think most people remember, which I think it also came out on Super Nintendo, but I think it was it looked entirely different on Super Nintendo, but I'm not too sure. So I think, you know, despite what I said about, you know, the handling being a little rough around the edges, I think Formula 1 is a pretty good racing game. I definitely think it kind of gives Super Mario GP a run for its money. I like Super Mario GP. I know it's a bit of a sin to diss it like that as a Genesis fan, but still, I think this game is well worth it. I think a little more worth it than Super Mario GP can ever be, especially with the added tracks and all that. So, you know, you decide if you're looking for a racing game, I guess, or you're just adding this to your collection. I say consider it. It's pretty good.